Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Toyinumesiri, and today we'll be talking about how to bring your business ideas to life. So, why did I put this training together? In the line of work that I do in terms of international trade and development, as I've engaged with stakeholders over the years, um, part of what became clear is that a lot of times people have ideas because international trade at the foundation is really about business, right? So what I'm finding in the community that I lead is that a lot of people have amazing ideas. Some of those ideas, they've been carrying it around for years, really, sometimes 6, 7 years. And like, oh, yes, I know I need to import. Yes, I know I could do this. Yes, we could do this, right? So I hear a lot of conversations around what people feel they could do or the aspirational ideas they have around business. And what I'm not seeing enough of is the movement, the motion, the engagement, the actual buildings of a business. I'm not seeing enough of it. So part of what I've now decided to do to say, okay, let's take a step back. We're helping people that are ready. People are at different stages of the growth, the maturity stage. Some people are ready to really engage in international trade. Some are not. What we've also found is not necessarily people want to do export or import. Some just want to build a better business in their local industry, which is fine. So taking your business idea from just the concept to maturation is what this training, today's masterclass, is about. Is the approach and processes that I have put in place that works for me, and I've put it in place to basically share today. So we'll go right ahead into the presentation. And I know more people will be joining us, but we'll just go ahead and kick off, respecting other people's time. Okay. Okay. So your ideas matter. If you do not know, please realize your ideas matter. Your idea is a seed. And if you do the right things with your ideas, that seed could mature. Everything that we see today starts with an idea. So um, I do not want to assume that everyone knows about me. So let me just quickly give a rundown. My name is Toyinumesiri again. I'm the CEO of Nazaru. And I have a portfolio of projects, initiatives, global events, brands that I run, that I lead. But my background is really I served as a solutions architect. So my background really was more as a solutions architect, implementing the biggest projects in the world around SAP, from finance and controlling, manufacturing, global sourcing, merchandising, pretty much the spectrum for the biggest brands. So a couple of years ago, I basically left corporate to start my own business. And like I said, I have a portfolio of initiatives that I myself have implemented, and you can check those out on my personal page, Toyinumesiri.com. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but basically, for those who may not know me, I've served the biggest brands, working with the biggest, executives as a strategist, as a technologist, and a solutions architect, designing, like I said, the most complex systems implementation and business process improvements in the world. So again, that's just a little about me, but again, you can go to my personal website. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Now, let's start with this statement. If I were to tell you ideas rule the world, would you believe me? Do you believe it, that ideas rule the world? Okay, let's not stop there. What about if I told you that ideas, not just ideas, but ideas that are well implemented, rule the world? Does that make sense? Not just having an idea in our minds, but actually bringing it and implementing it. They rule the world. How about if I said ideas well implemented and well marketed rule the world, because we do know there are amazing solutions all over the world that people have implemented well, but nobody knows about those solutions, right? They've not invested in telling the world about it. Would you believe this? How about maybe that's not enough? Ideas well implemented, well marketed, and then people adopt it, rule the world. Think about Zoom. Zoom was well implemented. It was an idea. It was well implemented. It was marketed, but the rest of the world was like, who needs that? But COVID-19 2020 told us, oh, we need Zoom, right? This class 2 is enabled with Zoom. So you might have an idea, you might implement it, you might market it, but would people adopt it? Would people listen to you? Would people actually come into your business? Okay. How about this? Ideas well implemented, well marketed, well adopted, and well funded, right? What if you have an idea, you implement it, you spread the word, people adopt it, but then you cannot scale it because you don't have the financing to push it forward? Okay. The reason I brought the statements together is to begin to shift our minds that just having an idea in your mind about what could be is not going to create a business. Again, just having an idea of what could be or what should be, having it in your mind and feeling so close to that idea, like I need to do this, I know I can do this. Just talking about it in your mind is just step one of series of steps. You have to have an idea, you have to implement it, you have to tell the story of your idea, you have to get people to believe and adopt that idea, and you have to find ways, bootstrap or traditional or non-traditional ways of funding if you actually want it to gain momentum. So today is about sharing with you my 6-step process that literally I walk people through that helps them go from just having an idea to actually making it, a functioning business, right? That you can then take forward. What I would also want to talk about right here, this moment, is that a lot of people talk about business planning, which is fantastic. You need to have your business plan. But I try to tell people that having a business plan is almost synonymous to, let's say, an architect, okay, helping you design your building. Okay, so you have a dream house in your mind. I want it to have this number of rooms, this number of this. I want it to have 3-car garage, this, right? That's your dream. That's your idea of your house. Now, an architect could bring that and help you represent it on paper, which is like a business plan, But I tell people that's not enough. Somebody has to translate the architectural drawing and actually put it in place, lay them brick by brick. What I'm teaching and what I'm about to share is that brick by brick. It's taking your idea, not just having it on paper, it's bringing it to life. Okay. So, like I said, please do mute when you join. Just mute. Thank you. We'll open it for questions after the presentation. So, ideas well implemented, well marketed, well adopted, well funded is the key, right? Now, the third element, which is when you talk about pricing strategy, is you can fund it, but if you overprice it, would people be able to afford it? So those are some of the concepts we actually have to wrap our minds, around. So this statement hopefully helps you realize that you have to shift from just the ideas that you have in your mind that you want to implement, the things you want to do, the great things. I mean, ideas is abundant all over the world. And like I said, it rules the world. But when you look at regions around the world and the people that are successful in building big, globally relevant brand, you can see that they didn't just stop in having a brilliant idea. They went ahead, put teams together, they implemented it, they told their story, and people adopted from Apple to Google to Facebook to Twitter, all of these major brands that we all see. They follow this model, knowing that there needs to be a shift of just having an idea, right? Because I also tell people that, there's also something you do to your brain. When you talk too much about your idea and you actually don't take a step, sometimes you've tricked your brain. Your brain thinks you've actually implemented it, so it doesn't propel you forward. So that's what's one of the things that happens. That's a lot of times people for 5, 6, 7 years, they are holding on to the same idea, but when they look around them, really, none of those ideas have been implemented because they've not taken the step. They've tricked their brain that just talking about an idea equal to I actually have implemented it, which is not right, which is not the right real, which is not fact, right? So your ideas, whether it's, I want to open a store, to I want to serve people with a product. It could also be a service-based business. You have to start thinking about it that it follows this model. I have an idea. I need to implement it. I need to market it. I need people to adopt it. Yes, we need to bootstrap, and I need to put the pricing strategy in place where it is affordable to the people I want to reach. Okay. So we are moving now into the meat of today's masterclass. In building a business or implementing an idea, because I do know sometimes it's not just business delivery. Sometimes you could be working on NGO, mainly when you want to bring a value into the marketplace. That's what I'm talking about. The hard truth is people in general do not care about your ideas. Okay. People in general do not care about what it is you're thinking about in your mind. Oh, we could do this. Oh, wow. In general, the marketplace doesn't care. You can, like, if you go to a market or to a store and say, oh, I could have sold you a banana, I could have sold you apples, people will just be walking past you because you're not showing anything, right? You're not presenting anything in the marketplace. So the market focuses on your results, on what it is you have to offer the market, right? So the market doesn't evaluate in terms of talking about your ideas. The market doesn't really care about the dreams that we carry, right? Or the things, the aspirations, right? What the market really values is your results. And you think about the stock market, right? That's what it's all about. People invest in the Elon Musk of the world, because of his results. They trust that if it says it's going to the space and that he's going to get there, that he has the resolve and the capacity to make it happen. And not just that he's telling them he would, they've seen his track record. They've seen what he can do. They've seen what he has done before. So people are able to respect that side of his work. Nobody can take that away from him. So basically, nobody can take things away from you when they see your results, when they see your resolve, when they see your persistence, when they see your consistency in the marketplace. Those are the things that the market, rewards. Okay. Oh, that's the hard truth, guys. It's that the hard truth is you've got to take your ideas from concept to results. That's what the marketplace, whether it's the local marketplace, regional or global markets, is that we value results. And you and I, it's the same thing. We don't throw our money to Amazon. Imagine if Amazon says, oh, I can ship you a product, but they've never shipped you before. They've never fulfilled their promises. Nobody's going to pay attention to them. But when you've seen their consistency, their persistence, showing up every day, delivering results every day, bringing value in the marketplace, that is what people care about. So what we want to do for everybody listening, watching, is focus on delivering results, not just having ideas, but delivering results. So this is my six-step process. The reason I lined it up individually, these concepts, they are well mature in the business development world, right? Each of these concepts, they're well mature. You find books on each of these concepts. But what is novel about what I've done is to the sequencing of those activities is really the key. The key is how I've lined the sequence of what you need to do. Okay, can you please mute? I'm having a playback. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Awesome. So what is novel about what this is about, what I've done here, is the sequencing of these individual activities that takes your business idea from just ideation through to concept building and implementation, right? So again, each of these, ideas, they are well developed. You can get books on each of them if you want to dig deeper. But the sequencing and the step by step is really what is the game changer that I've seen as I've worked with my coaching clients. So the first step is assessing your current state, being true to yourself to understand what you're doing. We'll run through it deeper, but I just want to call it out now. So your current state assessment, understanding the profiles of the customers you hope to serve with those ideas, what your value proposition definitions are, what are you going to bring to bear for those customers, business model creation, how are you going to get paid, how do you structure your business, your sales and distribution channels, how do you take those concepts to the marketplace, and then marketing plan development, your consistency in sharing your message with your ideal clients. So let's run deep into that. We'll run step by step through those quickly. Okay. So where are you right now? What are you trying to figure out right now? Do you already have a business that needs to be pivoted because of COVID impact? Or do you have a new business that you're trying to start from scratch? The real activity around this that I usually help my one-on-one coaching clients to do is we dive deeper to understand what they're working with right now, right? Because the business you're going to create is really a function of your skill set, of your network, of your skills, of your reach, of what you know, your knowledge base. You cannot implement a business out of things you do not know. And that's why personal development, one of my other classes, I talk about personal development, is your acquisition of skills. The more you upskill, the more you level up, your business implementation goes with you, right? As a business leader, as a business owner, the more you know, the more you build your network, the more assets you can acquire, the more network the more reach you can expand to. You would start seeing those results in your business. If they're tangible and intangible, assets that you have, and that's what will really determine how you're going to build your business. So really be clear on who you are, your background, your skills, your network. Ask yourself, the network I have today, can it actually help me, do what I want to do? You have to really, and if not, then you need to know that you have to work harder. Because as a business leader, when you start looking at who knows me, who's going to refer businesses to me, who am I going to work with, where are my clients, you start realizing that your business is only as strong as the network you've built around it, right? Because we only do business with people we know and trust. So check around you. How many people know you, know what you're about, what you're trying to do, and trust you enough that they're willing to partner, they're willing to buy, they're willing to serve, they're willing to engage with you, given what it is you're trying to do. Okay? How strong is your reach? How strong is your network? Who are you? Look at your background. What skill set are you bringing in? So this exercise, we literally go step by step, articulating and being clear. Do you have a team? What type of skills do your team do they have? Excuse me. Do you have clarity in terms of where are you going? What are you going to do? Where do you want to take this idea? What's your vision for that idea? Because the vision you have for that idea, the business cannot grow beyond your vision. Okay. The business you're building cannot grow beyond what you can see because you are the limiting factor to your business idea. You would determine whether you're going to go to the moon like Elon Musk or, or create mega businesses. It really has to do with what you're seeing. How big do you want this to be? Nobody else can answer that for you. Like, no matter what I wish for everyone listening and watching, no matter what I wish for you, no matter what the people who love you wish for, at the end of the day, what you see as the business owner, as the idea owner, if I can say that, what you see as the potential of your business is what you're going to bring to the world. So you have to be clear around your vision, what your skills are, what your network is, what assets, financial resources are, because that comes to bear when you know, okay, I do not have the skill. I may need to pay or hire somebody to do this. So you have to be clear on that. Okay. Now, the next sequence is, who are your customers? A lot of times, I see people make a mistake. They think the business they're trying to create is about them. It's not. The business is not about you. Right? Oops, sorry to break that news. A lot of times people are like, I want to make money. The market doesn't care about what you want. The market cares what can you do for them? What value are you bringing? How is your idea going to make my life better? So I also clearly want people, when you go through who you are, what you're trying to do, what's your network, you have to quickly shift and transition to now focus on, who am I going to serve? Who? Who are my customers? And when I say who, you actually have to go deep down into demographic information. For example, I want to serve women between the ages of 18 to 35. You have to go down because your idea, even though it's grand, it's amazing, is you have to also be humble enough to know that it's not for everybody. Yes, we might say it's for everybody, right? But in actual fact, not everybody would buy into an idea. So that's why we have to do this exercise to be clear. Because if you're not clear, when you go into marketing, if you don't know who you're marketing to, you'll be leaking and wasting marketing dollars because you'll be marketing to the wrong group of people that are not interested in your idea. Right? So this exercise is so important upfront. Some people do this late, in the game, after they've wasted time, wasted resources, because a lot of times it might take people 3 years, 4 years to finally figure out that, oh, wow, who am I even serving anyway? You start seeing a pattern that only a certain type of people are approaching you. Only a certain type of people are interested in working with you. Only a certain type of people are willing to engage with what you're bringing to the marketplace. Yes, you may run and wait 3 years to figure it out, but what my process is saying, bring it in, do it quickly now, and then you can refine it maybe every 3 months as you go. Like, start with something today. Again, a lot of times people push this exercise and they wait. Oh, I have a business idea. They start building the business and they start marketing themselves only for them to realize nobody's responding. This is why. It's because you've not mapped out the particular type of people that you want to reach. Now, you need to know where they are, who they are, and then 2 things are so important that you have to understand. What are those pain points that those people have? And what are their aspirations? You have to clearly identify. And usually I walk people through creating a list. I'm going to do ABC, 1, 2, 3. You have to list those things out, whether A or 1, 2, 3, right? You list those things out because in the next process, you're going to be designing solutions that map to those concepts. So you need to understand these groups of customers, what's going to delight them about my idea. What are they navigating right now that I will tell them I'm going to help them resolve, right? And you need to apply EQ to emotional quotient. You have to really, really, really be in tune, stepping out of ourselves and stepping into the shoes of the people we want to serve with our ideas. Okay. You also need to be intimately aware about their shifts. And really, why this is important is that when you see a year like last year to 2020, when your customers are impacted, you're going to see a shift in their desires as well. Their pain points shift, their aspirations shift, and only brands that actually shifted with customers are the ones that are actually surviving today. So this is an exercise that it's not just a one-time thing. You almost need to do it from time to time as the market shifts, as your customers shift. You need to start looking at their face. You need to start understanding what's they're going through, that also your business and your ideas can bring value, help them alleviate. Okay. And then the next step I shift people to is, now that you know your customers, now that you know what they're going through, now that you know their aspirations, right? For example, luxury brands, they help people, reach the status they want to be perceived as in the society, right? The next thing is knowing very clearly what solutions, right, are you going to bring? This business idea, what solution is it going to create that would make the lives of these customers better? This is, whether it's services, whether it's a product, trust me, when you go through this exercise, you have to seek clarity. You actually have to take your pen and paper and you have to list those things out. And what also you would do is take each of those pain points, you could map it out to 4 or 5 different things. Like, for this pain point, I can do 5 things for them. For these aspirations, this business idea, I can do this for them. Okay. You have to be clear, because again, this is about value creation. The people you are hoping to serve, the reason they're going to do business with you, the reason they're going to pay you for your service is because you are bringing a type of value. And the types of value is you're either helping them to make their job better, to make their life better through your services or your products, or you are exciting them and you're bringing delight to them. So think about Apple. Apple is a delight bringing company, right? You unwrap your iPhone. I mean, people could buy any type of phone today, but there's some type of delight, there's some type of experience that people have with the product. There's an intimate offering, an intimate relationship there that everybody keeps, buying and, products from Apple because of it's an aspirational brand. It's like, I'm team iPhone, I'm team Android, right? It stands for something in the marketplace. So that's something people may not realize, that behind the scene, it doesn't happen by default. All the brands that we see out there, there's a lot of assumption. People assume that it just happened. No, it's by design. They decided, we want to be this type of brand. We want to serve people this type of way. Think about Nike. It's the same, right? Nike didn't just happen. Brands, those type of brands and businesses, they are an idea, a concept that we want to delight people. We want sportsmanship. We believe this is what we stand for. And that's also the clarity that a lot of times people don't put into the work that they do. Is that, are you going to delight the people that you engage with? What emotions are you going to strike in them? How do they feel when they engage with your product? And there are some other things that I've also shared in some other classes as well, for those who have attended my other master classes around brand building. One of the master class was about, how do you build a globally relevant brand and business? So we cover more of the branding side and the storytelling side in that masterclass. But this is just one calling it out, that you have to be clear in terms of what you stand for, what your product stands for, and what it's going to do, your value proposition to the marketplace. I'm looking at time. I do want to give time for questions, so I'm going to keep running through this. The next one is around business model. Okay. A lot of times people start with business modeling first before the first two exercises, which is fine. But in my experience, your business model design becomes clearer when you know who you're going to serve and when you know what you're going to do for them. The business model is now, how do I get paid? Right? You're going to design products, services that you then map out to say, this is how I'm going to get paid. Right? But it's hard to start designing this if you don't know who your ideal customers are. You don't know their income bracket, you don't know their aspirations, you don't know their pain points. So that's why the sequencing of these steps for me, it's that if you've done step 2 3 1 2 3 this step becomes very straightforward. Right? It is straightforward, but sometimes I also put here it's not straightforward, meaning you have to test it out. Okay? If you've done those steps and you have a theory about your business model, you need to test it out in the marketplace, see if it works, and then refine. The refining side is the iteration. Sometimes it can be a science. When you're thinking about your price point, sometimes you might need to go up, sometimes you might need to go down and see how the market and your customers react to it. And even they reacting to it, it could also be where they are at. You think about people launching businesses in 2020 or 2021, right? It's a different marketplace. The what you could command in 2019, you may not command it now. So you also, that's why it's a science. You also have to understand what's going on in the marketplace, what's going on in the minds of your customers, and start structuring it accordingly. Sometimes it could be geography. You may be in a city where maybe that's not something they are looking for, right? So sometimes it could be, where are your customers? They may not be in your city. Sometimes they may be. Well, you just have to be open to exploring when and where, right? That's something I'm just trying to get people to see, that it's not automatic that you get it right the first time. You almost have to design and redesign, go through that iteration. Okay. Your pricing model is also something you need to see how it drives your revenue growth, right? If you know the size of your market, the size of the consumer base you're trying to reach, you can play around with some of the numbers in terms of the cost breakdown. And then you can also map out, okay, I can bring the price down if this happens, right? Do I want to be a mid-range brand or a high-end brand? You have to play around with all these types of modeling design, okay? For you to really land on the best way to, offer your products in the marketplace and get paid for it. One thing I also tell people, because a lot of times too, people in the not-for-profit reach out and say, hey, can you also support and help us in this space? What I tell them is, the difference is that when you're doing like this type of modeling, you're modeling it around the people you're serving are the people to pay you. But in the world of not-for-profit, the people you're going to provide value to cannot afford what you're bringing. So you're actually going to use other people's funds and financing to bring that value. So that's the major difference, is that for not-for-profits, you're delivering value, you're still doing 1 2 3 the steps, you're still doing that, you're still bringing value to a group of people, to your customers, but you have this group of customers as well. They are your funding, right? They're the ones financing you and allowing you to be able to bring that value to the group of people that cannot pay you. That's not for profit. But on for profit businesses, you're actually looking to the people you're delivering value to be the ones paying you directly, right? So if they cannot afford you, then they're the wrong set of people. There are also some other concepts that we go through in terms of mapping out, even when you define who your customers are, sometimes you know the ideal customers, you know who you can reach, you know who needs you. Sometimes you also have to be clear. Some of them are willing to work with you, but they cannot afford you. Some of them are not willing, but they can afford you. Some of them can afford you and are not willing, right? Some of them. So your ideal would be those who can afford what it is you're bringing, your services, your products, and they are also willing. It's key, right? Otherwise, you are talking to the wrong group of people, right? You're spending time engaging with the wrong group of people as well. Okay. So Sales and distribution channels. Let me explain this one. It's more like how. So you now know who you're going to serve. Okay. You know their pain points, you know their aspirations, and you've defined your value proposition, what you're going to do for them, what your product and your service is going to do for them. Okay. You also know how you want to get paid, right? Subscription, whatever model you want to get paid. Here's what now takes to you have to the next step you have to take is how do you introduce all the work you've done? How do you bring it to the market? Right? So your market entry development, how do you introduce this? What stories are you going to tell? Are you going to open a physical store? Is it an online store? Are you going to be working on distributorship, or you're going to engage in partnerships? You need to weigh the pros and cons of all these delivery models, right? So it's how are you going to deliver? How are you going to implement, right? Your project or your business, right? Your business model. This is the practical. Again, this is different from business planning. Business planning on paper, they'll just tell you, oh, we're going to reach these people. This is the size of the market. This is the practical side where you have to decide how and where, right? Because sometimes people think, okay, I now have my business idea. Everything is going to work itself out. No. If you're going to deal online, do you have a website? Okay, what are you going to put on your website? How do you push your website and market your website and put it in front of the right people to attract them to come, which we're going to talk about in the next step as well. Okay, so think about how am I going to deliver these amazing products and amazing services? How am I going to bring it and carry it into the marketplace in a way that people start interacting and engaging with my services? Because until you do these steps, all you're doing is still talking to yourself. Okay. Until you bring it to the market and you start interacting with your potential customers, you've not delivered any value to anybody. We're just still in the planning phase. You're still just creating, right? Nobody's seeing you. Nobody's seeing your product. And I see people make a lot of mistakes. They put a website up, they do this, and then they're like, oh, I have a business. No, until people know that you have a business, you do not have a business, right? Until your potential customers know you exist, until they know that you exist, and not just you exist, they know your products exist, they can talk about your services on your behalf, right? They can tell you what it is they understand you to be doing for them, and they can reach out to you and say, hey, I need that service. Until you do this exercise, you still don't have a business that is in the market yet. Okay. And that's something that you have to be consistent in. And it's interesting for me today, like a lot of times people call, and the way they tell me what they're looking for maps exactly to what we told them we could help them with. Right. So until people start telling you, hey, I saw you, I saw you can help me, I saw on your website, or I saw on your profile that you do ABC. That's really what I need. Can we talk? Until people start doing that, you've not really introduced your product to the market. It's just something in your mind that you're wrestling with in your mind yet. So this exercise, this step is very, very, very important. This particular step is something I just introduced recently, because I basically felt like it needs its own focus. When you think about what's going on in the market today, there's so much competition in the market that a lot of times people think, oh, I don't need a marketing plan. When I tell people once, then I'm fine. No, you actually have to now be more aggressive in terms of how are you going to deliver consistently and tell people your value proposition message and bring in consistent clients and customers. How are you going to build your sales funnel? Do you have an email list? Do you engage in social media marketing? How are you going to map those things out? And even in my one-on-one coaching, I actually take people through whatever you create as your value proposition. Those are some of the messaging you start putting out there in terms of your content marketing or your media marketing. So if you've followed those steps, everything that we document along the journey are actually going to be assets and collateral that you can use in terms of your marketing strategy. So this exercise, I would say, you know, the survival of your business depends on it. It's not something you do once and stop. You have to do it consistently, because some people will hear about your message today. Some people may not hear until next year. Some of the people that are here today, they may not need you today. They might need you another time, right? But you want to bring them into today. You have to be consistent. You cannot give up. And this is where I see people fail. Let me share with you the adoption in innovation curve. A lot of times people start businesses and bring their ideas to the market, and they wait 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and they give up because they're not seeing the movement that they thought it would be. Here's what's happening. This is the natural curve for adoption and innovation. At the bottom axis is time, okay? Proportion to adopters, it's the y-axis. Now, if I were to map this out, depending on how, let's say, how many years you've been working on your business, because a lot of the times people are comparing themselves to businesses that are 50, 30, 40, 20 years old, right? If you're just starting your journey today, you need to understand where you are at on this curve. So are you at the very beginning? And that time map literally could be different for different people, depending on your skills, your network, and everything you know. That's why we talk about blitz scaling, right? Some people know this business development concept so well that something that might take somebody 5 years to do, they can achieve it in 3 months, 4 months, because they go through this exercise and this iteration so fast. But for an inexperienced business owner, it will actually take you 3 years to figure this out. So it might actually take 3 years for you to go into the stage of early adopters. Okay? It might take you another 6 to 8 years to shift into early majority or late majority. And you also have to know, right? It might take time for the people. There might still be people out there that's even after 20 years of existence, they're still like, right? So think about Amazon. So pick brands that you know. How old is Amazon? Today, they are now in the early majority, late majority. Most people are on Amazon, but think about the journey from the very beginning, right? They were selling books. Did people, a lot of people mocked them, like, why are you selling books? This, right? They are innovating, right? They're creating new value. They're bringing new ideas to the marketplace. The market always is skeptical to something they've never seen before, right? The market is always skeptical. Don't expect that everybody will just embrace. You tell them, oh, I'm going to do this. They're like, oh, yes, we're going to buy. No, be ready, to, and these exercises, the reason I taught this class is these skills and these techniques shrinks your go-to-market strategy, right? Instead of taking 1 year, 2 years to find your customers, know your customer, at least now you know these are the things you have to do. You may do it, you may not, but you still have to do it eventually. So I really want to encourage people. Okay, I want to give time for questions, but I want to encourage people to be aware that it takes time and it takes patience. A lot of the brands and businesses you see today, look at their journey, right? So if you're just beginning, also be ready that when you bring your idea to the marketplace and you bring it to life, okay, you need to be ready to stay the course, because a lot of people drop out at the early adopter. They give up at year 3, year 5, because it's not caught fire yet, right? They've not been able to get as many people, the masses, to get into it. But again, there's a science to it where it's blitz scaling, where you can actually shorten the life cycle of bringing something to the marketplace. So that's going to be the wrap up for today's introduction. Really, when you say next steps, what do? I actually do one-on-one coaching where people that have ideas, I actually take them. In fact, that's one of the reasons I'm looking at time, because I have one client after this, where today is actually our last session. We go about 5 weeks every week, where literally we run through our idea. I run through our idea. We document all these things, and at the end of the day, she really has a business fully formed in her hands. One thing I've also introduced is group coaching. So over the next couple of Saturdays, We're going to put people in groups, right? And that's more like the practical side of this technique. So I've shared the techniques with you. You can run with it. You can go ahead and start building your business. But if you need my personalized coaching where you say, okay, Toyin, this is what I'm trying to do. Let's walk through it. Let's practicalize it. It's more like a workshop with a drawing board. We break it down. You have all the information you need for your website, your customers and all of those things. That's something that the group coaching now offers. And then I continue to bring on one-on-one coaching clients that really have ideas, whether it's for a local business in their home country or international business, because I realize that when I tell people, let's trade, let's do international trade, at the end of it, I'm realizing that especially the diaspora, the foundational concept of even actually having a solid business that have a structure, that's something that I'm realizing that we actually have to invest in building. And here's the last statement I'll say is that this process is really following this phrase. You can give a man a fish, you can feed him, you give a man a fish and you're feeding him for a day. You teach a man how to fish and you fed him for a lifetime. This process, this work, why it's so important is that not only are you saying, here's a business plan, go, right? I'm literally teaching people skills and techniques that will serve you for a lifetime, right? If you know how to do this by yourself, this is your business. Nobody's going to build your business for you, but I can teach you the skills. I can walk you through it. And here's the thing, you have a skill set that would help you over and over and over and over again for years to come to always be bringing value to the marketplace. Anything you want to do now going forward, I encourage you to always think about the recipients, whether it's an event, whether it's a project, whether it's even your boss, even if you're in your professional, always think about who are my clients? Who do I want to make happy? Who is paying me? If your boss is paying you, then you need to delight your boss. So this is a concept that I hope will serve you for a long time to come. And I thank you for joining. And I want to give the next maybe 12 minutes to answer questions. And we do have some testimonial of my clients here, but you can also see it on my website, Toyinumesiri.com. So I'm going to stop sharing now and bring people on for Q&A. We'll do that. Hi, Hadiza. You're joining us from Nigeria, right? You're still on mute. On mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Sonu,
Okay.
Sonu. Jayaiki.
Lafiya,
Lafiya Kalau. Good,
well
good.
Done, yes. Well done.
Good.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this information, knowledge, and your time as well. My question is on pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
It's something I don't know if you can touch.
Yeah. Okay. So so when you're doing pricing, there are several things that comes into pricing. Okay. A lot of times I see people just go in the hair and say, oh, this is what I see it to be. I'm going to put the price. But no, there's actually something they call okay, I used to work in the world's biggest, right? We talk about profitability planning and all of that. But you have to look at your cost. Okay, it's a mapping of what does it cost you to produce this product. You look at your overhead. Okay, what this particular product, and it's a science again. Depending on how many product lines, like what I used to do then, when you have a factory that manufactures something so massive, you have to look at the cost of the, we call it work breakdown structure. So all the components, your needle, because you're a fashion designer, all of the things that requires to run your business, okay, the overhead, the labor, every single thing, you have to understand what it costs you. So the cost to bring that value. Then you have to also understand transportation. A lot of times people don't factor in transportation costs, shipping costs, all of that, unless you're pushing that onto the customer to bear all the costs. So when you roll all of that up, you owe that number. Then you also check and do research in the marketplace to say products like this, what is the range, right? Because you have to know, do you want your brand to be a premium or mid-range or low range? What value is it going to command in the marketplace? Okay. When you look at that, that's when you start calculating your markup. Markup is it cost me this much to make it, but the market that I want to penetrate can bring this much. So the difference is my markup. And then you can also start seeing that how many products, your break-even point and all of this. So there are some calculations, right? There are some calculations that people do to really say, okay, this is what it cost me. This is, this is what the market will hold. This is my markup. But then there's another calculation in terms of volume pricing. Okay, so that's for a single product, but then there is volume pricing. And that's the game that a lot of brands like Walmart does, where the markup might be small, but when you push a volume, when you push 1,000 pieces of something that is just maybe $1 or whatever, and you can sell 1,000 a day, instead of just selling one piece or two pieces, you're selling 1,000. What it is that volume pricing then helps you make more money, right? But a lot of times people make the mistake and they overprice one of the things, and that thing is not selling fast enough because they don't realize that there might be a calculation. If you lower your price, you might be able to up your volume, and the overall money you would mean income that comes to you, the sales that come to you from lowering your price actually is more than if you left your price high. So those are things that you play around with. It's almost like a science. You test it out, but it's a lot of components, so it's not just what's in the market, it's also what it costs you, because to produce something in one region of the world versus another region of the world could be higher, right? So you play around with the cost to you. I hope that helped. Okay, who else? Okay, so Joseph.
Hey, Toyin, can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, yes. I want to. Yes.
I have a question regarding the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. I
Mm-hmm.
understand that because it started, because the actual trade area is now up and running.
Mm-hmm.
It for consumable goods, they're talking
Mm-hmm.
about actually putting together quality labels so that consumers know that whatever they're getting,
Mm-hmm.
it's quality, and so
Mm-hmm.
it evens out the playing field as far as who's supplying the market. Is there anything that we can do currently right now to prepare for that requirement, especially if we're, let's just say, we're distributing throughout that trade area?
Okay, so I think the biggest thing you need to watch out for, which is what people they're not really seeing because they're not reading the fine print. The first question you have to answer is, what's the rule of origin of this product you want to introduce to the market? Because not every product qualifies for AFCFTA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the first thing. Does this product qualify for AFCFTA, right? If it does, then it's really the rule of the market to say, do you know the customers you want to serve? Is this a product that they want? How do they perceive? Because the perception of the product is not yours to determine. It's actually the customers that determines that. A lot of times we can say quality, but um, quality price, it's your customers that determine. It's subjective to the customer, not you, right? So that's why a lot of times American brands will say, why we are producing quality, why are they buying China? It's because the Africans, they are looking at their quality price matrix through their own lens. It's a trade-off. I might be able to lower my quality, but the price goes down and I'm good with that, right? So that's something to watch out for, is that yes, we can say quality, but ultimately it's always the perception of our customers that determines what is quality and what is not. So understanding them and what their aspirations are, because you might start finding out that Africans are not all the same. There's the, luxury, high-end, wealthy Africans that people are not marketing to. There's the middle and there's the low. Which one are you going after? Because their buying patterns and their behavior in the market totally, totally different. totally, completely. I mean, they're going to buy all kinds of things, and I've seen it happen. Thousands of dollars, they fly all over the world. So it's this. There's also this mindset that says, "Oh, Africans cannot afford." I'm like, you're talking to the wrong Africans.
Right, right,
You're talking
right,
to the
right,
wrong Africans,
right, right.
right? So that's what I would say. Number one, what's the rule of origin for what it is you want to distribute? Because not every
Mhm.
product qualifies, and you also have to understand that people now have to start seeing Africans as the consumers that they are and understanding their buying patterns and their behavior in the marketplace. That's where the money is. People who understand them, who pay attention to their buying patterns, can then bring value to them, bring products to them, and they buy it. You know, and the products ranges all over.
So you don't see a standardization like the UL label on certain products to make sure that when consumer gets it, they say, you know, this is a quality product that's already had, you know, has been through testing and all of those others. No, you
Right.
don't see that?
You have to see that each of those markets also have their own quality certifying bodies.
Okay.
Yes, you can tell them, oh, it's coming from America. Yes, America's brand image of quality can serve you right, okay,
Mm,
but it doesn't make people buy from you. Do you
mm.
understand?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. This process is very humbling. It's an humbling process to say, because US asserts itself and say you should buy from us because we are the best. No, Africans have options. They have options, and they don't have to buy.
Sure. And
So
it's a competitive environment, correct?
absolutely,
Mm,
absolutely. And that's why, the same science that we go through in mapping, say, the African American, like in retail, we literally go country, state by state, city by city, understanding if you want to sell a lot of fried chicken, go to Texas. If it's summer, you sell swimsuits in Florida, not in the middle of February. You don't take swimsuits to Michigan in the middle of February, right? It's cold. So we in retail, where I'm coming from, customer is king, customer is always right. So if you want to serve the African customers, the sooner people start understanding who they are and where they are putting their money and where they are buying and what they are selling, that's the better, because a lot of people are sitting in boardrooms and making all kinds of assumptions
mm.
that are not true.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. But that's something you can also dive deeper if there are things you want to structure in my one-on-one.
Sure.
Okay, anybody else? I'm looking at time where we're running over now. Any other comments, questions? Alabi said, thanks, Toyin, for the time. You have to, okay, good. Very insightful session, great session. Thank you. Yes, I'm looking forward to any type of rich feedback that people have. I do have to run myself, but thank you everyone for joining. Remember, if you have any other questions, let me see. I think I'll put my contact out there. And if you're also into international trade and you want to take your business global, you want to serve international clients, that's what we do at Nazaru as well. But like I said, these foundational business development concepts, don't underestimate its value. A lot of times people say, oh, yeah, I can. The value you will get from it is if you actually follow the process. Okay. So don't just see this as knowledge you need to keep in your mind. You are not going to get value from it if you don't practicalize it, which is why I started with having an idea is not enough. How do you implement it? So take this entire process, test it out with your business idea, actually take a pen and paper. And if you need one-on-one support, reach out. But hopefully, this technique is something that you would practice. Okay, practice makes perfect. Again, please, your idea is valuable, but the results that you deserve and you desire is really on the other side of all of this work that has to happen. And that's what I do. We bring value to the marketplace every day. We engage with people from all over the world. I work with people at the highest levels, mid, everywhere, right? So I'm able to understand, what political leaders. I also teach policy leaders in partnership with the African Union. So those are some of the things we do. So I want to thank you, everyone. Again, you have my email, you have my website. I look forward to hearing from you. And if you have any testimonials, please do feel free to share as well. And if you want to talk personally, reach out as well. Because I sense some hesitation that some people may not want to come on video, and that's okay. I respect that totally. Thank you. Have a great day. Okay. Bye.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.